Sorry, Jay. Okay.
Paul, you're looking good there in the center.
I'm looking all alone.
I know.
All right, good morning. Welcome to Northampton County's General Purpose Authority meeting today of Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. Sarah, will you please take roll?
Mr. Anthony,
I'm here.
Mr. Dertinger,
Here.
Ms. Pearson,
Here.
Mr. Kraft,
Here.
Ms. Hefner,
Here.
Mr. Donchez,
Here.
Mr. Colando,
Here.
and we have Solicitor Kelhart and myself, Tina, and Dawn from staff.
All right, and we have a quorum.
We do.
All right, thank you. In your meeting packet was the minutes from the March 4th, 2025 meeting. I need a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Motion.
Up, thank you, Ron.
Second.
Thank you, Lance, for seconding
Second.
that. Got it. Any questions on that motion? All right, seeing none in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Public comment? Okay, there's no public
Nope.
comment today. All right, the GPA audit.
Yep. Up next, we have Jay Grabelny from Riley and Company to present the 2024 draft GPA audit.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Nice to see everyone.
Yeah, good morning.
April Fools, right? As I said, my name is Jay Grabelny from Riley and Company. We performed the 2024 audit. We worked on it remotely this year again. So again, we thank Tina and Sarah and Mary Alice. They're always very forthcoming with information. So it's important, obviously, to have information to get the audit done. So we thank them for their work with that. We issued drafts on March 19th. And I will just go over, I believe everyone has the draft packet in front of them, so I'll just go through the numbers a little bit. And then if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them. So starting with the first thing in the financial statement packet is the independent auditor's report. So that starts, if you're looking at the bottom there on page 3. So really the important thing there is our opinion on the financial statements. So for 2024, we have an unqualified or clean opinion on the financial statements. Obviously, that's what the GPA is looking for. That says that the financial statements are all materially correct. I will review some of the numbers themselves then. So we could start on page 6, Exhibit A. This is the statement of net position, what you might call the balance sheet. And this is on the full accrual basis. So this takes the two funds together and then also adds the fixed assets and the related debt on the P3 project. So for 2024, we had just over $1 million. We had just over $1,042,000 in cash, and then we have restricted cash of $23,000. The restricted cash are the repayments on the Kerrigan principal. So basically, those amounts are restricted to be used for that same purpose. So we show that as restricted cash. So our total current assets at the end of the year were $1,079,000. Our non-current assets, we have notes receivable and also restricted notes receivable. The restricted portion is technically due back to the county. And then the capital assets, we have, obviously, that's related to our bridge project. So we had construction in progress of about $180,000. And at the end of the year, we had bridges in service of $31,493,000. Then we had accumulated depreciation on those bridges in service of about $2.6 million. So overall, our total capital assets were about $29 million, and total assets at the end of the year are $30,477,000. Page 2 then is our liabilities and net position section. Not much in the way of current liabilities other than the due to primary government, so that's the payable from the restricted assets. Then we also had a long-term liability due to P3 contractor. So basically the value of the work that the contractor had done as of December 31st, 2024 exceeded what's been paid to them. So on the financial statements, we show a long-term liability for that. So we have total liabilities of about $1.3 million. Our our net position section then, which is our assets less our liabilities, of net investments and capital assets of just over 28 million. And then we have, the rest of it is primarily an unrestricted net position of just over $1 million. Exhibit B then is our statement of activities. So just a reminder again, this is on full accrual. So the expense section would include depreciation, but it wouldn't include the actual capital expenditures. So our first governmental activity is our general government, so that's primarily our administrative type expenses. And you can see this year under program revenues, we had over $700,000. So we had a few bond refinancings in 2024 that the GPA earned their fees on. Public Works, Highways, and Streets then is all the P3 stuff. So again, the expenses aren't going to show the capital outlays. So that $810,000 in expenses that you're seeing is primarily depreciation, the $99,000 maintenance fee, and also insurance. But going across then, we had the capital grants and contributions of about $4 million. So that was the funds that came in for the P3. So overall then for 2024, we had an increase in net position of about $3.8 million. Moving on then to Exhibit C. This is our governmental funds balance sheet, and it starts on page 9 of the packet. So this shows our two funds, our general fund and the capital projects fund, except this is on modified accrual. So any of the capital expenditures when we get to Exhibit D are going to show as expenses instead of capital assets. But other than that, the numbers are primarily the same on the balance sheet side. But if we go to Exhibit E, which is on page 11, this is the revenue and expenses for the governmental funds. So again, under the general fund, you can see we had about $720,000 in fees earned during 2024. Capital Projects Fund, the revenue is primarily the P3 project revenue. And then down below on our Capital Projects Fund, you can see the $3.9 million in capital outlay. So again, primarily the construction cost payable to the contractor for the $3.4 million, and then our other costs, utility relocation, $320,000, and maintenance fee engineering. But overall then, for the governmental funds, we had a net increase in net position of about $650,000. And again, that's primarily related to those bond refinances that were done. After that, there's another schedule, Exhibit F, that just reconciles the changes in fund balance on the modified accrual to the full accrual, change in net position on the governmental activities. But after that, then, are our note disclosures. So I won't go through them one by one. There weren't that many changes in 2024. Just a couple that I'd like to hit on. Note 4, which is on page 21, if you're looking at the number on the bottom there. And that is our capital asset note, so we could see our P3 related activity for the year. So we had one bridge that was completed during 2024 that we placed in service, and that bridge was just over $2 million. And at the end of the year then for 2025, we have one bridge left, which I know we're hoping gets completed during 2025. So that's what we have then in construction in progress yet. The next note then is note 8, which is on the next page, page 22. I'd just like to point that note out. That's the conduit debt note. So that's a listing of all of the conduit debt that's outstanding that the authority helped to, help to get these people these monies. So you could see there at December 31st, there's over $1 billion in money that the authority helped get out there. So I think that's an interesting note to look at. And then the last note that I like to hit then is note 9, which is on page 24 of the packet, which is our P3 project note. So just as a reminder, in 2023, there was a change in accounting standards. It was GASB 94, which kind of changed the definition of P3 projects. So the current P3 project technically wouldn't be called a P3 project under the new standards. It would be called an availability payment arrangement project. But for the purposes of the notes, we just kept it as P3 project since that's what everybody calls it, and we just noted that the name of the note changed. But other than that, everything is pretty consistent. The changes on that note would be on page 26. And the last paragraph there just kind of goes over what happened during 2024 as far as how much has been paid, what's been paid to date, and what is still currently outstanding on the P3 contract. So that's really it for the financial statements themselves. There are obviously other documents in that packet. The next thing there that starts on page 28 is the public notice financial statement. So that's a concise summary of the audited financial statements, and that gets filed in the newspaper for 1 day. And that's per the Municipalities Act, that's a requirement. After that then, which starts on page 30, is what we call our DCED report. Again, this is just, the numbers are the same. It's a summary of the financial statements. That gets e-filed on the DCED website. So once the audit's approved, we do that as part of our audit. And then after the DCED report, we just have our letters. The first being our communication letter, which starts on page 43 of the PDF. So both of these letters are letters that we're required to issue with all of our governmental audits. So this communication letter just discusses our responsibility as auditors a little bit. If there were any kind of significant changes in accounting policy during 2024, we note that here, which there were none. If we had to disclose any kind of difficulties, working with the staff, or if we had any kind of fraud or non-compliance issues that we had to report, it would go in this letter, and thankfully, we don't have anything like that to report for 2024. And then the last letter is our internal control letter, which starts on page 48 of the packet. And again, here, if we noted any kind of deficiencies or weaknesses in internal controls while we performed our testing, we would be required to report them here. And again, we've reported nothing for 2024. And last but not least, in that packet is the client representation letter. So this is the letter that actually comes from the GPA to us. It basically states that the GPA has provided us with everything we've asked for. GPA has not knowingly lied or misled or provided us false information or withheld any kind of information. So when the audit's approved, then that letter will get signed. And I think last year it was the board treasurer, I think Tina Smith, and also the county director of fiscal affairs, I think is who signed last year. So basically, we can't finalize the audit until we have that signed letter. It's basically our cover our butt letter. So I know I went through it pretty quick. It's probably about as quick as I could have got through it. Are there any questions, comments, concerns?
Paul, I'll make a comment. First of all, I think special recognition should go out to the staff. I mean, obviously, Tina, Dawn, and everyone else to provide the information as efficiently as they do helps Riley and Company put the audit together and get it done. And then Riley and Company, I appreciate the effort. I mean, getting it out this early in the year is significant, and it's important to see, and you've done a good job, prioritizing that and getting it done. And as we always say, to get an unqualified audit, there's nothing better from a disclosure standpoint. That's the ultimate, and it's cooperation of the team here, your good work, and I'm thankful to see the draft where it's at, and I from my standpoint, it's ready to be signed.
Yep, thank you.
Just echo what Ron said. Thank you. Appreciate the work. Any other questions for Jay? It's kind of easy.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So is there going to be a motion to approve, or, okay. Okay, and just one last thing, this was our last year of our proposal, so I don't know if you'd like us to provide another proposal, or if you're gonna go out for proposal, but if you do, obviously, we'd appreciate the opportunity to work with the authority again, and
absolutely.
hopefully I'll see you again next year then.
All right, thanks.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we need a motion to approve the 2024 draft GPA audit.
I'll make the motion.
So moved. Second.
Just one change, page 30. He has our old email address, so that just needs to be changed to the new email.
Okay. So noted the change. I need a motion to approve, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Ron. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions on that motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Ron, treasurer's report.
Okay, you have the report in front of you for March 31, 2025. The balance sheet, we show a total assets of $1,415,000 and change, which is cash and cash equivalents of $1,040,000 and some change. We go to the next page, and that's our income statement for our general purpose fund, and you see year-to-date revenues of $1,121.20. Our expenditures that come in the first quarter of 27, so it shows a net loss at this point of $26,808.09. And then revenues on our cash throw capital project fund account, which is a flow-through account, shows $122,399 and change, and the offset expenditure of the same amount, showing a net zero for the period. So that's as of March 31, 2025. So we show, the only thing I should have noted too is our ending fund balance is $1,065,378.14.
All right, Ron, not a lot of activity there.
Yep.
Okay. Need a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
I think I heard Charles make the motion. I need a second.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Pam, Lori.
All right, we
Ron.
think we heard Pam. Was that you that seconded it?
It was me, Pam, yep.
All right, thank you. All right, there's a motion and a second. Any questions? All right, seeing none, those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Invoices for payment. Sarah, you want to take us through that, please?
So we have Alfred Benish and Company for $1,176.84. Norfolk Southern for $967.50. Shea, Santee, Kelhart, and Deschler, Solicitor Services for $665. And Riley and Company, which is the final installment for this year's audit, of $5,914.94 for a total of $8,724.28. And all the backup is included.
All right. Need a motion to approve, please?
Make the motion.
All right, thank you, Ron. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Charles. Any questions on the motion? All right, seeing none, those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And there's invoices paid to date in your packet, but again, that's only for information only. All right, bridge project.
Morning, everybody.
Morning, Greg.
Everybody a copy of the status report? Okay. All right, start with Bridge 124. So Krieger completed 9 of the punch list items the week of March 17th, and we were out there in the field to verify them. There are 5 remaining, which includes line painting of the road. They have temporary line painting out there, but they did it at a temperature that was below what was required in the standards. So they'll be coming back to repaint it on April 16th. That's item number one. Item number two is a maintenance item, basically it's just to monitor the pavement long-term that we had on here. The third is to remove the construction equipment and any debris from the site. The fourth is utility poles should be removed. That coordination has started. Verizon was out on March 20th, and they plan on relocating the poles on April 18th. And once they relocate the poles, then the other attachers can move their wires. And the last punch list item is about all material slips, certification of compliance, field notes, as-built plans be sent over to me, and Krieger's been working on that as well, too. So that's the 5 punch list items remaining on Bridge 124.
All right, so let's just slow up a little bit, Greg. 'Cause line painting, it was only temporary.
Correct. Repainted, yes.
Temperature.
Above 50 degrees, yeah.
Monitor the pavement, though. You said that's a maintenance item?
That's a long-term maintenance item, just to make sure we check it out.
Right, so it's really not a punch list item.
That's correct. We had on here because, we were making the list, and I don't really have a separate maintenance list. Once we get final acceptance, we can move that to a final acceptance list.
And you're saying they did not demobilize yet? Their equipment's
Correct.
still there?
That's correct, yes.
Reason for that? Waiting for weather to break?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe they're waiting for the line painting to done. I don't know. But there is still equipment out there.
And of course, we always wait for the as-bills.
Correct.
All right, thank you on that one.
Bridge 101, the only movement was that Norfolk Southern, Krieger requests an extension and authorization for their construction sequence, et cetera, and that was given by Norfolk Southern on March 13th. That's basically the right of entry agreement. They extend it until the end of April. So, as I noted before, April 14th is the day they have the flaggers scheduled. That's when they will be doing the paving. Then once they do the paving, they'll do the guide rail and the riprap they have to place, as well as the line painting.
You got guide rail, riprap? Is that what you said?
Correct. And the paving, line painting, yes. Jumping to Bridge 41, we met out at the site with Krieger on March 26th, and they started working on the punch list items yesterday. They're out there, I know, working today as well, too. We have not been out there to verify. We're waiting until they're completed with those, and we'll come out there and verify they're complete. And they've also been talking to the property owner, too, to get that last property taken care of with topsoil and seeding that they discussed previously. Jumping down to Bridge 54, Med-Ed's been reaching out to us. We're going a little back and forth on getting the sky wire removed so we can get the riprap out and double check that pipe. So that's still in coordination. I just got a phone call from them yesterday. And then regarding the maintenance items, I don't have any update on the maintenance items. I asked, and they said they will be working on those after they're done, these other bridges. Any questions?
I think my question is, I thought, Joanne, your letter stated March 31st? And there's still punch list items remaining, and we gave them to March 31st.
Correct, yes.
Any comments or questions?
Only comment I have is it's so sad that we need to issue a letter like that to get them to be responsive at all. I'm happy to see things are moving and almost hopeful that they will be complete by the end of this month.
Paul, I have a question. It's Lori.
Please.
Did we get any correspondence in other than their action? Did we get any response back to the letter that was sent?
We did not. I guess the response was they're starting.
I guess that.
Yeah, they're starting to work on site, so maybe that's
Oh,
the
I see.
response.
I guess the next part of the question would be for Greg. If I mean, from what I heard, it sounds like they tried to do some things that wouldn't have been able to be completed anyway because of the weather and the temperature. But are they communicating with Greg about what they can and can't do
Yes, they've been
in a
communicating with
timely
me.
way, or is there,
They have been, correct.
It seems the key date is April
is there any-
14th. I'm sorry, Lori, go ahead.
oh no, isn't it the 16th, the date for that, what's the date for that, the flaggers? I'm sorry, is that the April 16th date?
April 14th.
Okay.
So anything to prevent Krieger from not completing out on the 14th?
No? I mean, unless it's pouring rain that day. I mean, you're not gonna pave in pouring rain, so I mean, that'd be the only thing. Typically, no.
So close.
What are the chances that it would rain in April?
It'll be a warm rain. All right, like, we're so close.
Yes, the only question I would have is the letter that I was directed to send was the end of March. If we're going to let that go to April 16th for the corresponding items, do you want me to send anything to them saying, okay, appreciate what you've done, but now we'll give you till April? Right now, their drop dead date on the letter is the 31st.
Of March.
I don't believe we have in the past when they started doing work or when they were actually showing that they were trying to get things done, so I'm fine leaving the way it is.
But I understand what Joanne's saying. We gave them the date of the end of March, and now they're pushing it back till probably end of April.
Yeah, no, they did that with every letter that was sent in the past. There's never been a date that Krieger's hit.
Yeah, I sort of agree, Paul, at this point, we don't send any other correspondence.
Charles said hope, we hope it gets finished. We've been hoping for years.
So what's the next action step on our part?
I would think nothing, Lori, because we're waiting for them to pave on the 14th. And after paving, though, there's a guide rail riprap and line painting on that one. Bridge 124 to paint. And really, utility has to remove, right? And that's done on Krieger, and they have to demobilize and the as-bills.
I think as typical, we would just wait until we get the report from the engineer stating that this work has been complete, and then we can withdraw our letter and pay them when they're finished. So everything would just be now contingent on Benish's letter saying that they're complete.
Right, so our next meeting is May 6th. Everything should be completed by May 6th, or by the end of the month of April.
And you have a payment due April 30.
Not
I
because
suggest-
we're not making the payment based on our letter, though, because they're in violation.
Yep, I agree, Charles.
All right, there was just some guidance that was needed about that, so, okay.
Can I just say my largest concern, and I know we have to wait for these flaggers, but it's that Bridge 41 and that homeowner, because there seems to be no real reason why that was not completed by March 31st, unless you tell me that there was a temporary monsoon that prevented them from getting out to their property and talking to them. I mean, I just don't understand, because those were the most nominal items, correct?
Yes, correct.
What has to be done there, Greg, again, please, on 41?
So 41, we have, all right, so here's the, so there was some work on the box culvert. There's some infiltration under the area that has some dirt on top, based on the skew of the bridge. So there's some water leaking through there. They're correcting that. There's some rebar exposed on one of the culvert walls. Some concrete spalling. That's two of the comments. That's really three of the comments. So there's some filter sock out that has to be removed. And then we have the material slip certification as well as the topsoil for the property owner.
So I think, Laura, are you referencing the topsoil to the property owner?
At the Sabella property, correct.
And I agree with Lori, there's no
But-
reason that couldn't have been taken care of.
I know Krieger's been communicating with them too. They told me they have spoken with the property owner.
Do we need to have a special meeting before the end of the month, or are we good with the letter that we wrote?
Joanne, I turn to you.
Well, your settlement agreement doesn't address, and I look at the settlement agreement since it's well after and it deals with your next payment. So are they really going to do anything between April 15th and May 6th to say, where's our money? They may send you a letter, but nothing will really happen. You know, but technically, you've got a payment that's due April 30th, and it's a very large payment, and in your original agreement, it doesn't say you can hold it all back. It says you can hold back what's reasonable. And I'm paraphrasing here, folks, but there is a section in the original agreement, and it's silent in the subsequent settlement agreement. So, you know, it's a little chancy that they may decide that they're going to make noise about suing you, but you for your payment, but it's a little bit of time, I guess.
The question is, was that payment on completion or just a time milestone? It had to be on
It's
completion.
a time milestone.
It is?
Your settlement agreement, yeah.
I don't recall.
It was an adjustment made after when we had our settlement agreement that we changed some of the numbers on the paper. But they're now in violation of the settlement agreement, so the changes that we made there, they're in violation of the entirety of the settlement. So as we change the payment amounts in the settlement agreement and the date, they're not following up the date. I think we wait until we should wait until we're finished here because we have no other hammer once we do that. We have no leverage.
I agree with
So
that.
I would wait.
I agree that you have no other leverage. The question is, how far are you going to, and you're not at the point where you need to make a decision on that today, but at some point you're going to have to, if, say, May 6th comes and there's still things that are not done that you want done, then the question's going to be, are you going to withhold all of that April payment that was due, or are you just going to hold back a portion of it? You're going to have to make that decision at some point.
Okay. But to Charles' point,
I-
Krieger's in default.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Right, they're in default right now, so. Lori,
And,
do you have?
So I
and
have
by
a
the time we
question.
were, I'm sorry, but by the time we were to determine the value of the bridge that's not finished and all the items that are there, we would be up to next year's payment. So I think it's in their best interest to finish so that we have, we can pay them and put this ugliness behind us.
It was a challenge, Charles.
I have
Alright.
a question.
Can I
Go
make
ahead.
Is it worth sending them kind of a warning letter, for lack of a better term, that they are in default and we are going to be holding the payment until everything is completed, or just is it better to just let it go?
We've already sent the letter that they're in default.
Okay.
And that was March 7th.
Could I,
Yeah, I don't know that I don't know that it gains you any ground to send them anything more. They know what's going on.
could I make a suggestion that we consider a special meeting on April 15th or 16th to just have a check-in about the progress to date, and that gives us an opportunity to revisit if we need to before April 30th?
All right, to that point, though, they're going to pave on the 14th, Greg, correct?
Correct.
But then we need a few days for guide rail and the paint, I'm assuming.
Correct, yes. I say
Will-
till
will
the
be
end, till
reasonable.
the end of the week, I would say.
I
But I
personally
think
don't
that's
think there's
22nd?
any reason. There's no reason to have a special meeting to see if they've finished their job that they haven't finished for the last 7 years. I think what we need to do is when we have a regular meeting, we can plan our course of action.
And actually,
My concern is that our regular meeting is after the date that we owe a payment. So I'm more concerned about having us make a decision about how to proceed with that based on what work they got completed. I'm not saying that we're giving them any extra grace. I'm more concerned about our choices.
I
just,
thought we weren't paying them a
Default of a
payment.
payment.
Yeah,
I
they
thought we
would have
weren't
to send
paying
us a
them a
letter.
payment.
That's that is what we said earlier out.
just a
I don't
point,
know
But
why
I think
this
any
is
further
there.
discussion, we are, I think we
ladies
are
and
crossing
gentlemen, let me
past where
just,
this should be
let
in
me
an
just
executive
correct
session.
something for you, okay? In the letter,
I agree, Charles, I do.
All right, hang on, let
okay,
solicitor read
in the
something.
letter, they have until April 30 on Bridge 101. I just want to make that clear to you. They have, it says the authority will entertain an extension on this bridge completion to April 30, 2025, and no later.
Right, and there's no payment in that letter. It's you finish the bridges by April 30th. So why are we having this discussion of having special meetings and all? Just a question.
I agree with Ken, and I don't think that we should be discussing this any further in an open forum as
All right,
you are talking about potential litigation.
all right, I agree. If
And I also concur with Charles that we should not be discussing this in an open forum and asking these kind of questions all the time.
Got it, Ken. So their drop dead date right now is April 30th. Our next meeting's May 6th. We'll address it then.
Excellent.
Anything else for Greg? Thanks, Greg.
Yep, thank you.
So there's no need for executive session today, is that correct? Okay, there's no need for executive session. New business.
We don't have anything new, just to follow up, just a reminder about statement of financial interest. If you haven't yet done that, they're due May 1st. And then to follow up with Jay from Riley and Company. So the last time we went out to RFP, they were the only ones that responded.
How long ago is that? I'm sorry.
It's 3 years.
3 years.
So the question is, do we want to go out to RFP, or do we just want to ask them for a new proposal? I know fiscal preferably would like to stick with Riley and Company just because they're so well knowledgeable about the whole P3 project. So that would be their preference. However, they understand it's the board's decision of how you want to move forward.
What's our responsibility on Joanne for the RFPs?
You know what, offhand, let me check. I don't want to punt, but
Right.
I really would just like to check.
Please, just to make sure we're in compliance or, okay.
I think we typically have to go out to RFP, but in fairness, the last time we did that, they were the only firm to bid.
Yeah, how much, I guess their contract is for
Over the threshold.
So they typically provide an, yeah. Okay. And we have time. I just wanted to
That's
put it
fine.
out there.
Joanne could do a little bit of research on
Yep.
that. All right, next meeting is May 6th here in the chamber at 8:15. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it, everybody. Have a good day. Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good day.